NBA stars have it all, but some throw it away.
18 former NBA players are charged with
These are players who ruined their careers. And first, Jonte Porter had the potential to make millions, but instead bet it all away. See, after tearing his ACL twice in college, the draft was nothing more than a dream. But the Memphis Grizzlies still took a chance on him, adding him as a free agent on a roster. Now, the second chance would be short-lived, because after his second year, he was bounced out the league. But unlike some, he got a third shot to revive his career. Because in 2023, the Raptors offered him a two-way contract worth $550,000, which turned out to be exactly what he needed, because he was hooping and his numbers were looking real good. But on the 22nd of January 2024 against the Grizzlies, Jonte Porter put everything on the line, because he left the game after only 4 minutes. And on the 26th of January against the Clippers, he doubled down when he left the game with an eye injury after only playing for a few minutes. But the next day, things got a whole lot weirder, because DraftKings sent out an email congratulating the night's biggest winner, Jonte Porter. Now, somehow he slipped under the radar, but this had his mouth watering. So on the 20th of March against the Sacramento Kings, someone placed a 6-play parlay on Porter's under for $80,000 with a payout of $1.1 million. Now, Jonte's rebound line was set at 5, and by the first quarter, he already had 3. And what do you know? At the end of the period, he left the game with another eye injury. Now, this had the NBA investigating, where they found out Porter leaked confidential info about his health to a known bettor, and the $80K bet was part of a bigger scheme with 4 others. I mean, dude was even mad when he hit a 3.
Who's a strong defender.
Porter, the 3, it's good, that's a wrap.
And if that wasn't bad enough, Commissioner Adam Silver hit Jonte Porter with a lifetime ban from the NBA. But that wasn't all, because he also pleaded guilty to federal wire fraud and is now facing serious time. But Josh Primo was even dumber, because he went from being the future to shoving his dingling in people's faces. See, in 2021, the San Antonio Spurs had just selected him with the 12th overall pick in the draft. He had all the tools, a 6'6" frame, smooth shooting stroke, and a potential to be a two-way menace. But then, just a year later, his story took a dark turn, because out of nowhere, Josh was waived by San Antonio after accusations surfaced from his team's former psychologist. Allegedly, Primo whipped out his dingling 5 times over the course of several months. Dog, what the hell? The news hit like a bombshell, and the Spurs wasted no time dropping him. Now, Primo released a statement claiming he was seeking help to deal with past trauma and needed to focus on his mental health. But just weeks later, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office launched an investigation, and Josh was hit with indecent exposure charges. With that on his record, he was facing up to 180 days in jail. But after nearly a year, the Clippers picked up his contract, and Primo agreed to consult with mental health specialists. Now, the signing came on the same day he was handed a 4-game suspension, so fans were outraged. They couldn't believe Primo was getting another shot after everything he'd done. Despite everything, the district attorney's office decided there wasn't enough evidence to move forward with the case. But that didn't change the fact that his career was over. All those millions lost just because he couldn't keep his hands out his pants. But this next player didn't just lose his NBA career, because by 2010, Lamar Odom was living the dream, winning back-to-back championships with the Lakers, 6th Man of the Year award, and putting a ring on Khloe Kardashian. He was riding high as one of the league's most versatile stars. But in 2011, after getting swept in the most humiliating way possible, things would quickly change. Because after being in LA for 6 years and earning the name as the best player on the bench, he thought his spot was locked up for the next season. But the trade saga for Chris Paul had the Lakers willing to do anything to make it happen. Next thing you know, Lamar was part of one of the most infamous trade dramas ever. And Lamar took this as a sign of disrespect, so he demanded a trade himself. But sometimes things off the court also have an impact on you as a player, because his 24-year-old cousin was murdered in New York. He was so shaken, he considered stepping away from basketball altogether. But as time went on, Lamar tried to hide the pain after relocating to Dallas, but his relationship with Mark Cuban quickly turned sour.
I didn't want to be there. And then this man, one of the most powerful men in basketball, I told him what I went through that summer. My cousin got killed. So I told him I had a real good situation in LA. I don't really want to come to your team. First game, I'm playing bad. The owner is yelling at me.
From the sideline.
From the sideline, from the bench.
So he picked up a habit to deal with the pain.
I never think one hit of cocaine was gonna do that. It was like that time, it was the best orgasm I've ever had.
Dude was high, showing up to work, and trying to keep it together. And by the time he landed on the Clippers, he was a shell of his former self and was out of the league the next season. But off the court, Lamar lost control, because by 2013, Khloe Kardashian filed for divorce. So on top of his cocaine addiction, he found himself in a gambling hole that he could only tell one person about.
I pick up a gambling addiction. I'm in a hole, like I can't get myself out of it. So I'm like, what the f I'm gonna do? So everybody know Kobe was like an extra frugal motherfucker. I think I might have to make the call this month. After he cursed me out, so just have your people call my people.
So he got you out of your gambling hole?
Facts.
How deep were you in?
Really deep.
Now, Kobe Bryant even tried to help pull him out, but it wasn't enough. Look, in 2015, Lamar was out in Vegas and was later found unconscious in a brothel. He suffered 6 strokes, 12 seizures, and both his lungs collapsed. Doctors weren't sure he'd survive the night, but somehow he lived. But he swears somebody tried to end him that night.
I'm admitting to you, doing drugs. I didn't do drugs that night, though.
Really?
Wrote up. 12 strokes and 6 heart attacks.
So what brought that on?
The drugs that they slipped me, I guess.
Oh, they slipped you some shit?
Yeah. As a drug addict, I was like, I wish you'd told me what it was, because that had to be some good shit to lay me down for 3 days.
He lost his basketball career, but his life was far more valuable than that. But today, Lamar is clean and started Odom Senior Care with pre-negotiated contracts to serve over 1,000 communities. And he's even trying to win Chloe back. Man, never mind basketball. Honestly, just happy he's alive. But Miles Bridges' girl could never forgive him for what he did. See, in 2022, Miles Bridges was having the breakout season everyone dreams of. He was dunking on everyone. The guy was unstoppable. And after averaging the most points of his career, he and LaMelo Ball were looking like the future of Charlotte. But during the 2022 offseason, Miles risked everything because he was set to sign a $130 million max contract. But instead, he went on Instagram Live flashing a cup of lean. So people on the internet went wild, calling him a rapper wannabe, dumb, irresponsible, not worthy of a max contract. But that wasn't the worst part, because shortly after that, the news broke that Miles had been arrested, and not for partying or making bad choices in the club, but for allegedly getting into a physical altercation with his wife, and she left him exposed.
What?
Daddy choked mommy.
Daddy choked mommy? Why?
Because he beat me with a fight together.
Well, what did you do?
As I smack him, and Daddy doesn't be nice.
Things were getting really ugly, and to make matters worse, Miles pled not guilty. He was sentenced to 3 years of probation, and just like that, he lost his shot at $130 million and settled for a 3-year, $75 million contract. Still a lot of money, but nearly half of his value went up in smoke. But look, there are players who've done much worse and never got their life back. But before all that, we gotta talk about today's sponsor. Moms need something special for Mother's Day. So if you want to lock down that favorite child status once and for all, give her that moment to relax and recharge to her favorite music and crystal clear sound like she deserves with Raycon's perfect pair of earbuds. I mean, when I'm training for the 2025 NBA draft, I couldn't make a move without my AirPods flying all over the damn place. It really threw off my whole groove. So I was out here in the gym, musicless, soulless, and putting up bricks like I was building a house. That was until I found my favorite pair of Raycons that I haven't been able to put down, because with their ergonomic design that hugged my wide ass ears and noise cancellation to block out the haters, I got my swagger back. And you can get your mama that extra pep in her step too. I mean, their latest model is better than ever, with 32 hours of battery packed in these weather-resistant beasts. And the multi-point Bluetooth connectivity means she can pair 2 devices at once. But at just half the cost of other premium audio brands, you can style your mom in her favorite color. Cause even if she's not feeling them, Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee return policy, no questions asked. Look, Raycon earbuds are the reason I'm taking my talents to the league. And it's only right your mom get the same MVP treatment. So go to buyraycon.com/Don to get 20% off site-wide. Brought to you by Raycon. But hey, NBA players aren't the only ones who fumbled their careers on the court, because Paul Pierce fumbled his broadcasting career instead. After 19 seasons in the league and cementing himself as an icon, Paul walked away from the game and stepped into a new gig, becoming a full-time analyst for ESPN. And that's when Paul transformed into one of the most unhinged voices in all of sports.
I could probably get a layup versus the Lakers right now.
Whoa.
See all these kids doing a step back is because I pioneered.
Paul, riddle me this. Who's the better NBA player?
That's easy. I can say that off the bat. That's me.
Yeah, Paul never held back. But in 2021, he gave fans something even wilder. See, he hopped on Instagram Live and went X-rated. Cigars, liquor, and women feeling all over him. Every Playboy's dream.
Getting a neck massage from Bad Mariah. Oh my God. What are y'all talking about? Y'all hating.
My man had exclusive content like an OnlyFans page, so ESPN gave Paul the boot the very next day, and his $1.5 million contract was gone. But here's the thing, Paul didn't lose a wink of sleep over it, because after blowing the bag, bro had no reason to keep his act clean. I mean, he pulled up the KG's podcast to ruin his instead.
For the day, they got a website that you can hire girlfriends for the day.
Stop, man.
And so I got a girlfriend.
Stop, man. Stop.
The truth can't help but keep it real. Now, this next player lost his career for being an all all-time dope fiend. See, back in high school, Mayo wasn't just nice, he was legendary. The press was calling him the next LeBron. I mean, he was so hyped, even Michael Jordan had to see for himself. So he invited OJ to his exclusive camp, and Mayo pulled up to MJ's court for a pickup game. Got hot, started talking trash immediately, so Jordan had to humble him real quick.
Finally, I said, look, dude, you may be the best high school player.
But I'm the greatest ever. And don't you ever disrespect, the great like that.
OJ got torched one-on-one, but still, Mayo backed up the hype, because his 21 a night in college got him personal workouts with Kobe, who called him the total package. Then came into the league and averaged 18 points per game as a rookie to finish second in the league voting for Rookie of the Year. The future looked bright, but it never got brighter, because the moment the Grizzlies put Mayo on the bench, the team actually got better. And from there, his game started falling off a cliff. He was showing up late to practices, got into a fight with Tony Allen, and picked up an addiction to painkillers. And in his second season, he got caught for taking steroids. He claimed it was just a bad energy drink, but the NBA wasn't buying it and hit Mayo with a 10-game suspension. Then he never found a home again. 1 year later with the Mavs, where coach Rick Carlisle couldn't stand him. Then signed with the Bucks, where he racked up more DMPs than buckets. But in 2016, things hit rock bottom. Painkillers took over and would mark the beginning of the end, because the NBA banned him for 2 full years.
What more can you tell us about O.J. Mayo?
Yeah, Carrie, this is the first time in 10 years the NBA has banned a player like this for drug abuse.
Mayo packed his bags and headed to China, where he started dropping 30 points a game. But even with those numbers, no NBA team ever called again. O.J. Mayo had the tools, but he lost it all off the court. But imagine a career not even starting because of a fear of planes. See, Royce wasn't your average hooper. At 6'8", 260 pounds, he was a point forward with handles, vision, and power. Dropped 14-5 at Iowa State and had scouts drooling over his potential. So in 2012, the Houston Rockets drafted him 16th overall, but the dude never played a single game. Look, while Royce had the size and skill, he was battling something way bigger. As a teen, he was diagnosed with anxiety and OCD. Now, he managed while he was in college, but the NBA was a different beast. See, White's anxiety got amplified in the air and made flying feel like torture. So to manage it in college, he popped Xanax and Benadryl like candy. But the jump from 20 college flights to nearly 100 in the NBA seemed impossible. So when training camp rolled around, Royce didn't show up. He skipped media day and asked the Rockets to let him take buses to away games.
Royce White is a professional basketball player who may end up doing more for the game than any Hall of Famer. Here's why. Not for his jump shot or rebounds, but for his maneuvers off the court and getting his team to deal with his mental illness. White has an anxiety disorder, which includes a debilitating fear of flying. Houston Rockets knew that when the team picked him in the first round of the NBA draft. They knew it.
The idea that you're not with the team and you're sitting at home, the idea that you may never be with the team. The whole dream may go down the drain before it even takes hold. That's working on you.
Yeah. Right now.
He was making nationwide noise, but Houston wasn't feeling that. Royce wanted to meet with then Commissioner David Stern to push for a mental health policy, but the league never gave him that sit down. So in November of 2012, he snapped on Twitter. He called out the NBA for not protecting players with mental health issues.
My anxiety was really existential. My anxiety was to say that there's a global corporate community and that the NBA is a watering hole for a global corporate community. This isn't just a basketball league. This is every industry in the entire world from here to Beijing represented in a financial interest. And when they say mental health is not important, they're saying the human condition isn't important.
Now, a few months later, the Rockets suspended him for not fulfilling his contract until he eventually quit. He was traded to Philly the next season and waived before the year ended. I mean, he did get a 10-day contract with the Kings, but after that, he was out. He ended up in the NBL overseas, where he dropped triple-doubles like it was nothing. So Royce White could hoop. He just couldn't fly. But this next player is having everyone wondering what his next step is going to be, because Ben Simmons is doing everything possible to kill his NBA career. I mean, people thought he was supposed to be the next LeBron James, even with no jumper. But that's besides the point, because Ben was drafted with the #1 pick to Philly, and for a while, he actually looked the part. Rookie of the Year, 3-time All-Star, and leading the Sixers to a 50-win season. My man even had Kendall Jenner at his games. But then, it was like Monstar zapped his powers, because during the 2021 playoffs, he went all the way down to 12 points a game. It was shooting 34% from the line. And in Game 7 against the Hawks, Simmons had a wide open dunk and did this.
Spins on Gallinari, gives it up. Oh, it was right there.
Philly fans had seen enough and blamed him for spoiling the season. I mean, they were so pissed, Simmons jerseys were being set on fire across the city. Simmons got torched by the media, and his confidence crumbled with it. Because by the next season, Ben refused to practice and said he mentally wasn't ready. I mean, he didn't even play in 4 preseason games. And after missing practice, he accumulated $19 million in fines. Then when he showed up to practice, Doc Rivers sent his ass home. Philly was done with him and shipped him out for James Harden. But Ben pulled up to the Nets with no jump shot, no confidence, and no urgency. Brooklyn got a $35 million bench warmer who claimed to have back problems. So he missed the entire 2021-2022 season. And when he finally played again, his teammates had to beg him to shoot.
Simmons didn't even look at the basket, but that's a good decision to get it to KD.
At this point, it's not just a slump, it was a full-on career meltdown. But look, one player ruined his career to become a Chinese icon. See, Stephon Marbury was a former All-Star who could not be controlled. I mean, this dude had his logo tattooed on his head. Now, in the early 2000s, Marbury built one of the hottest brands in the NBA, Starbury. Guy was a superstar point guard of the New York Knicks, selling his own line of sneakers by day and grabbing dubs by night. But here's the thing, Stephon also had a couple of screws loose. See, you couldn't tell him nothing. The guy was beefing with his teammates, his coaches, everyone around him. Eventually, people got tired of putting up with him, and the breaking point came in 2009. Because out of nowhere, Stephon recorded a video of himself swallowing Vaseline.
Take some Vaseline and swallow it, and it'll help you.
Yeah, the NBA said no to this head case, and he never returned to the NBA floor. But here's where things get crazy. In 2010, Starbury made his international debut in the Chinese Basketball Association with the Brave Dragons. And that's when he turned everything around. Because Stephon went on to have an even more legendary career in China. He carried his team to 3 championships. He didn't stop there. He became an owner and even a coach. And get this, Stephon even won Best New Actor at the 2017 Chinese Movie Award. What's ridiculous is that this man's so popping in China, they built him a bronze statue and created a Stephon Marbury Museum. Damn, Steph turned a tragedy into changing another country.